Hey, welcome to Learn to RV, the podcast. You are here for the community spotlight. And today I'm really excited. I am here with Meghan and Pete from our Captain's Blogs. And you guys are, if I am right, you guys just got home from Acadia, right? I mean, those are the most recent videos that I saw on
Yeah,
YouTube. So that was a recent trip. How recent was that trip?
so Acadia, we're not real time in our YouTube. So Acadia was at the end of last summer. Where we actually just got home from was Voyageurs National Park in Isle Royale. So that you'll have to keep watching for.
So that we can get that. So the reason why I ask is that my oldest just took a job with Acadia Shops. So when I was watching your reels, I was like, "Oh, that's where my mouse is." And so I got all excited for a minute. I was having a mom moment, but now I know not to take the way in between the two trails. I will not be doing that. And
Yeah, that's not a real
definitely won't
thing.
be taking my little dog. That's not a real thing. And I won't be taking my little dog where your big dogs could not go because my little dog will definitely not come out of the hole. And everybody's just going to have to go to your YouTube channel to figure out what I'm talking about. But let's
Yep.
get into who you guys are. So you are a family of four. You're traveling part-time in your Integra with two dogs, right? You've got a Weimaraner and a Great Dane.
Yep. And we recently just added a new little girl, a German short hair pointer named Annie. So we got her in January. She's just kind of getting her RV legs under her. She didn't go on this last trip with us, but she'll be joining us for the next several trips.
That's incredible to me. So for anyone who's just meeting you guys, introduce us to everybody who is on board. Who's the captain? Who else is on board? The kids and your pups.
So I'm Captain Pete. You kind of I always consider myself head of logistics and operations. I get us to places. I'm the planner. I book everything. I take care of sightseeing excursions, departures, arrivals, everything else like that.
Pretty much. I manage the kids and the dogs. Usually I'm in charge of all that stuff, making sure everybody's got everything packed. Personal items. You are the one that makes sure we have food, fuel, all that consumable type stuff.
Again,
Yeah.
operations and logistics.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then your girls are teenagers, right?
Yeah. We have one that just turned 16, so new driver in the house, and one that just turned 13.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Has your oldest wanted to drive the Integra? Has that come up yet? Is that a
No.
conversation at all? You're like, no. The captain says no.
He says no, and she isn't asking to either. She would drive it down our street. That you could be okay with, but she's not driving it on a trip.
Mm-hmm.
No, if we got into a pickle, I'm sure I could describe how to do things, but I'd be going crazy. So she can pilot the pro car every once in a while for us, but that's about it.
And then you were just getting ready to tell us you've got your three pups. So you've got Annie, the new one, and then your Weimaraner and your Great Dane.
Yep. So the
What are their
Weimaraner
names?
is 7. Weimaraner is Banks, and he's 7.
As in Ernie
Okay.
Banks,
Yeah.
famous previous Chicago Cubs player.
And then we've
Okay.
got Walt the Great Dane, and he's named after Walt Disney, and he's 4.
Okay. Which is going to take me into one of my questions for you because one of the things, well, first of all, I have to say, I won't take any of your cub naming personally at all. I don't know if you can see my water bottle here.
Is that a Boston Red Sox?
I don't have. It sure as heck is. So Walt Disney. So you guys have got this killer plan on your site about how to really make a trip to Disney work. If you were giving your number one, this is the tip for all the parents out there who want to take their kids. And this is the tip that is I'm going to dangle this here so that you'll come look at the rest of the tips. What would that tip be?
The number one thing I tell friends, so since I'm the planner, I tend to be the guy who everybody comes to about Disney. It's kind of my obsession, and it's been my obsession for years. The number one thing I tell people is to manage their expectations. Disney is a magical place, and it can be absolutely phenomenal. But it is not always the world's magical place. And you're there with 100,000 of your closest friends, family, and relatives. So things can and will go wrong. You just need to go with the flow.
Mm-hmm.
So how many trips have you guys made to Disney?
I would say I've been there probably 12 to 15 times since I was probably about 6 or 7. And we tend to go every 2 years. So that's kind of our
Uh-huh.
world. Like we don't want to go too much because then it kind of hurts the magic a little bit. But it at the
Yeah.
same time, we miss it when we're not there sometimes. But every 2 years. So I would think we're on 12 or 15 at
Yeah.
this point.
And then 3 trips we've taken an RV and
Yes.
stayed at the campground, which is a
And
whole
how
different
what was the
experience.
that's what I was gonna ask. What's the campground experience like? And were you I'm assuming that you've had like the staying on site in a Disney
Mhm.
hotel experience to kind of compare that to. What would you say is kind of what's your preference?
I think the cool part about the campground, first of all, it'll probably be one of the most expensive campgrounds you will ever buy. So level set there. But what it does
Yeah.
allow us to do is extend our trip. We're able to go for longer for less money. Where when we stayed in the hotels, we had to shorten our trip because it's pricey. But the campground really allowed us to have flexibility to have a little bit longer of a trip. Plus, you have all of your stuff. I'm not trying to give too many tips away, but from the article you're
Yes.
referencing, but you can make your meals, right? And I think that's just the beauty of
Yeah.
RVing is you're going to pay for groceries whether you're at home or whether you're in your RV. So it's kind of like a wash in terms of the food, and I think that's where you really win big time with RVing is you have the ability to more
Hmm.
better prepare meals and have food and have snacks and things at your hand. Even if you had a little kitchenette in your hotel room, it's still not like what you have in the RV and being able to
Right.
grill and
And
cook out.
we for before RVing, we were into renting DVC
Mhm.
points. So for those Disney people who know what DVC is, it's their vacation club, it's their timeshare program, and you can work with a
Okay.
broker and you can rent people's timeshares. And we would do that, and we were able to stay in the deluxe resorts for moderate prices.
Mhm.
And in those deluxe resorts, you could have a kitchenette. It didn't have a stove or anything like that, but it had a microwave and a fridge and a toaster. So we could order groceries in and do things like that,
Yeah, like breakfast, more so
which
breakfast.
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
expensive because you
Yeah.
had to have your groceries delivered to the
Mhm.
resort, paying the delivery fees and all that stuff. So RVing
Yeah.
kind of, allows us to bring our own stuff, do our own things. We can bring the dogs with us now,
Yep.
whereas hoteling before we could not. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of personal advantages to Fort
I
Willis.
love that. Well, I got way ahead of my plans, so I'm going to take us way back. I'm sorry. I don't want to give you like whiplash on this trip. I'm really sorry. But so you guys started RVing in 2020 when
Mhm.
COVID was kind of like keeping us all trapped inside. What was that deciding factor that made you guys go, it's time to check this off the bucket list? Like, now's the time. Let's do this.
Yeah, well, this guy over here has been wanting to get an RV since I've known him. And every once in a while, he'd be like, Is it time to get an RV yet?" And I'm like, "When are we going to do that? We are so busy. We are running in every different direction. This kid's going here. This kid's going here." We had one, our oldest, Addison, was in competitive dance. And I used to joke that it was 8 days a week because it never ended and it was 365 days a year. And it was awful.
Hmm.
And then when COVID hit and everything stopped, it really forced us to have that moment of what in the world were we doing and why were we doing that kind of life
Yeah.
for so long? And then he was like, "Do you think it's time to have an RV again?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think it is time."
I kind of looked at her and said, I don't want to sit here. The world's shutting down. I don't want to be stuck in my house. So we
Yeah.
drove over to a general RV and perused the lot a little bit. And we started out at a different RV dealership. We went there and we didn't have a car that we could tow a trailer with. I had just purchased a new vehicle a couple months beforehand. It didn't have a tow package. So what we could tow was very small. We all stood in there.
Like
We were like
shoulder
this
to
inside.
shoulder without the dogs. We're like, this isn't going to work.
Yeah. So we drove to a general RV center and the sales guy showed us a little Winnebago Class C. And I said, that's it. We'll take it. And that was it.
27 feet. It was literally like the second RV that we ever saw in our life. He showed us a used one that had ants crawling in it. And I was like, no, that's not going to work for me.
No.
It was tiny. I mean, the kids slept in the overhead bunk.
But we were a smaller family at that point.
Hmm.
Our kids were
Yeah.
younger. We had dogs, but they weren't, I mean,
Yeah. So Addie would have been 10
yeah,
and I would have been 7.
7. So the kids were able to sleep together, right? And we had
Right.
ample room to move around. So that's kind of how we started. Driving to the RV center, I said, I'll take that one. And then 2 weeks later, I went back and picked it up after they PDI'd it and prepped it and drove it home. And that was it.
Yeah. And then was it 6 months later? And because we didn't have a tow car. So when we would go places, we would be on the bikes, we'd be walking. And then there was this one trip in particular, we're in South Carolina,
We were in Hilton Head.
Hilton Head, and we're riding the bikes. It's like such a bike friendly town. And you got two kids on a bike. It's pouring rain. I've got a kid falling off a bike. She's skinned up her leg. And Pete's like, we're done. We need a tow
I
car.
want a car.
So we bought the Class C because we didn't have a way to tow it. And then we ended up, and we had just bought the other car and we didn't want to like buy a new car, like a truck to do something else. So we bought the Class C. And then 6 months later, we ended up buying a new car anyways to be able to tow it behind. So we got the Jeep.
Yeah. So where did you guys launch out of? Can I
So,
ask
like,
that? I don't
where's
want
our
to
home base?
ask you to get like where's your home base? Yes.
So we are from the Chicago area. So we're in the suburbs of
Okay.
Chicago, and her and I are all of our family is around us. We've grown up in this area our entire.
So I know that a lot of your travels have been kind of like on the coast and not a lot in the Midwest. Is that why? Because you guys have, like, I grew up in Kansas City. So for me, when we hit the road, I was like, I need California. I need New York. I need Maine. I need Florida. I need, take me to the coast. I need the ocean. Was it like that for you guys? Is that why you guys have hit kind of
So
those coasts?
yeah, before RVing and before our kids really came into the picture, Megan and I did a lot of traveling doing dog shows. And they weren't just your regular dog show. They were more like county fairs, outdoor event spaces, things of that nature.
And they weren't your regular dog shows
Mm.
either. It was like competitive dock jumping, dogs running off the docks into water. So it wasn't like, like dog show, Prancer on a ring. Like it was a different
I
vibe.
call it canine aquatic sports.
Do a trick.
Yeah. So we did those shows for 8 years, and we were doing 15 to 20 shows a year. And so we traveled all
Wow.
over basically the 6 states around us a lot.
In the
By
Midwest.
Uh-huh.
the time our oldest was like 2 or 3 years old, she'd already been to 15 states.
Wow.
When it got to RVing, places that are comfortable for us is the East Coast. A lot of my family lives in the Florida area. So we would go up and down to Florida quite often. We had vacation as a young kid. We had vacation to Myrtle Beach and Hilton Head a couple times. So I liked going there. We stuck to what we knew. Going west of the Mississippi is something that we just didn't have a lot of experience doing. We've done it a couple times. We took a long trip to Texas when COVID was raging. We were in Texas, and we took a big trip out to Yellowstone with a lot of family members. So that was also our first foray into going that far west.
Yeah. And we did Rocky Mountain a couple of years ago too. But probably most of our travels are Midwest, Central, and then East Coast. And I mean, I
And then
work full
east.
time. Yeah, I work full time. So traveling out west from where we are is a little bit more logistically difficult because by the time you get out there, you want to have ample enough time to enjoy it. So it's not that we don't want to go
Oh
west, it's
yeah.
just more difficult because we only have the summer when the kids are out of school. We want to maximize the time off, and going west would use a lot more drive time and a lot less time to stay out there and explore.
Yeah, absolutely. So, if we can, a lot of families, they dream about doing this, but they can't think about logistically how to make it work. And, you guys started obviously when everything was in lockdown. So, you had a little bit more freedom. How do you make it
Mhm,
work now that jobs have gone back to the office and kids
mhm.
have gone back to school? What does part time look like for you guys?
Yeah, that's why I always say don't let part time fool you. Like we travel a lot of miles with part time.
We're out a lot. And really for us, it begins in the off season in like November, December, and January. I'm already planning what we're going to be doing in March, April, May, June, and then the rest of the summer. So I maximize the timing we have for our kids to be in and out of school. We do have active kids. They're in some extracurricular activities. So we want to make sure that they get to do that.
Mm.
But at the same time, like I said, I'm a planner. So in
Yeah.
November, when the RV is shacked up for the winter, I get itchy and I
Mhm.
start perusing the interwebs going, where could we go now? Or I remember my favorite YouTube video that I watched over the summer and it say, we can make it there. Let me see how I can get it to work for us.
Yeah.
So if you
Right.
can plan and you really sit down and look at what your kids do and what you want to do, you can figure it out.
And I would say, generally speaking, our heavy travel season is May, end of May. So like Memorials, usually about the time they're out of school until middle of August. That's where we do the longest trips. So I save my vacation time from work. He saves his vacation time. And we do the longer trips when the kids are off of school. And then when they go back to school in August, from like August to end of October, beginning, middle of November. Those are weekend trips, right? You find places close enough. And I
Mhm.
think even though we've lived in Illinois our entire life, we're still finding new places to go in Illinois, Indiana, Wisconsin, Michigan. Like there's so much to explore so close to home, and you don't have to go
Yeah.
far to find something really cool to enjoy. And if you can just get out,
Yeah.
you can get there on a Friday night and you can have all day Saturday and a half a day Sunday. It's still worth it to do a weekend.
That's really cool. How did you kind of find that rhythm? How did that is it driven by the extracurriculars, or is it like, is there
A little bit, because we would not choose to go to Disney in Florida in the middle of June, but it would be nice to go in the wintertime when it's cooler out.
Yeah.
But so
when it's
a
not
little bit.
sweating like yeah.
Exactly. You put that backpack on and like your entire back is covered in sweat. And you get back to your RV and you're just
Yes.
drenched and you're like, what am I doing here in June when it's 95 degrees outside? But
Yeah, last year was the first year I bought like a
Yep.
cooling
Yep.
towel and we had fans and I feel like I'm dying. It's so hot here.
our rhythm kind of started when we were doing the dog show stuff. I think doing
Uh-huh.
weekends, all that stuff revolves usually around Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Mhm.
And we got really
Mhm.
good at planning those long weekends, the Friday, Saturday, Sundays, and it made it really easy to transition it into RV life with teenagers who do need to have a
Yeah.
life at home with their friends and do need to have a life at school. So we've done a great job at taking that and using it the same way. Again, like Megan said, finding something that's close to home or going with friends. So we have a couple friends who are RVers as well. We get them to go out with us and they have kids that are our kids' ages. So we're able to give the kids some freedom to be with their friends, and we get to hang out with the
Yeah.
adults and have adult time, and we're just hanging out, having a fire, cooking, having potlucks and stuff like that.
And I think the other half of it too is learning how to pack and unpack efficiently. And I wouldn't say that I use
That's what I was gonna
lists, but
ask.
we used to when we used to go to the dog shows, and I mean we're talking about packing an entire car for an entire weekend for two kids that were like babies and infants and toddlers at the time, and two adults and dogs, and you're trying to cram a lot of stuff into a little place in a car. Like that's all very applicable to an RV as well, but like getting really good at knowing what you need, what you don't need, getting it packed and unpacked. Like we used to be able to unpack from these dog trips 30 minutes. The car was empty and everything in the house was away. So it's like, don't let, even though you're only going out for a weekend, don't let that like packing and unpacking feel like it's not worth it either, right? Because you could easily overstress on,
Yeah.
well, it's going to take me 3 days to figure out what to bring, to be gone for 3 days, to have to unpack for 3 days. Like, even if you have to make a list and reuse the list, like we're so good right now that I don't need a list, but just get good at knowing what you need and getting that efficient.
Because and I'm just going to add this in here because I work from the kitchen table. My job is a fully remote job, and I can be here at the kitchen table. I'll be thinking of things, and I just grab a piece of paper and I
Mhm.
write it down on my notepad. Like we're going on a trip next week. Here's all my dinner ideas. So it just hit me in a spurt, and I go
Yeah.
crazy writing stuff down, and then I set it aside.
Yeah. And like even when we use stuff in the RV, like I've got a little list like, oh, I need to refill this. I just add it to my refill list. And when we get home, put it right back in
Yeah.
there. And it's like, as you think of things, we just write it down and jot it down. And yeah, just because I think somebody could get really overwhelmed with going out and not
Oh,
planning
yeah.
accordingly.
Is there anything that you guys keep in the RV? Like, do you have like a set of dishes or like hiking gear that stays in the RV all the time? What are this is the RV stuff that stays here that kind of makes it easier for that transition from sticks and bricks life to RV life?
So we're fortunate enough. So we have a 40-foot super seat, right? So, and
Mhm.
we've got a great basement below us here that we can store stuff in. So we've got plates and all of the plates, silverware, kitchen utensils, pots and pans. I keep a lot of non-perishable food items in the RV. I stock it just like I stock my house. So because I'm head of logistics and operations, that also means I'm the cook. And the cook needs to have all of his supplies to be
Mhm.
able to handle things, right? So I wear a lot of hats, chef,
Mhm.
logistics, captain, all of that. And I keep a whole set of clothes in there. I don't even take my clothes out of the RV. We
Mhm.
have a washer and dryer in there. So I wash it before we get home and I just restock it back on
Mhm.
its hangers and I've got clothes for the next trip. So for us, I think we do a great job
Mhm.
of keeping things in the RV so we're not constantly shuffling back
Mhm.
and forth. And you know, Megan could
Yeah.
probably touch on this because she handles the dogs. We have a whole bunch of dog stuff already in there.
Like I have treats and leashes, and I've got my core leash, but I always have backup leashes because you never know what could happen on the road. But like
Right.
even bedding and sheets, like everything stays in the RV. The only time it comes out when it's time to wash them. And then when they get washed, then they get put right back in there. Even stuff like games, and there's some things that we flex in and out depending on the trip. Like we've got a stand-up paddleboard, and that doesn't go in unless we're on a trip that you can use it. We've got some e-bikes those don't come on every trip because sometimes you're just not it doesn't make sense. Other
Yeah.
like outdoor games and type stuff, we flex some of that. We usually have some basic hiking gear in there. Like my hiking shoes usually stay in there. He's got hiking sticks, they stay in there. Because the other thing you have to worry about too is you don't want to overpack your RV and make it too heavy. So
Mhm.
It's a balancing act.
yeah.
And
Well,
like I said, since we have a
yeah.
basement in the wintertime, we can take everything out of it, put it in totes,
Hmm.
and we label the totes and we've got
Mhm.
a shelving system down. Again, this is the organizational part of me. It all has to fit on the shelves
Yeah.
and organized so that it's
Hmm.
easy to take in and out. The easier you make it for yourself, the more fun it becomes. I say it that way? Fun? Do I call
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
fun?
Yeah, so the whole thing gets emptied at the end of the season, emptied and cleaned, and then he spends all winter buying new stuff. So you probably saw that video, all the fun stuff he bought over the winter.
An inflatable couch.
I need an inflatable couch. I don't think that my husband probably thinks that I need an inflatable couch, but I think I need one. No, I think that's great because you are making the best of the time that you have. So you don't have to worry about how much time am I losing to the prep and the cleanup, like you said. So
Mhm.
you're really getting the most of your time. And I love that. I want to go to your content because you guys have such great content. There's rich content out there. I mean, you guys talk about everything from like maintenance to campground reviews. How do you guys decide what you're going to film? Because you do have a little bit of everything. Is it just kind of this is what I found I would want? Or do you have a checklist of things that you're like, this is what I want to try and get on this trip?
I think it's both. I think some of it is we're just trying to figure out where we fit into the space because we want to be authentic and different, and we don't just want to be a wash, rinse, and repeat. And I know some of the
Yeah.
technical stuff tends to get more views because that's what people are searching for. So, like our videos about him changing the suspension and the RV wash products, and those tend to get a little bit more views. But we also try to filter in our personality a little bit, even into those. I love doing like, here's where we've been, here's what we're doing kind of stuff. But I feel like we're so new that we don't have like some of the big channels, right? You're like sitting there and you can't wait for their next video to come out to see what they're doing next. Like I'm trying to pepper who we are into everything that we do so you can learn about us, so you want to keep watching us. But I really love
Yeah.
the content that you can see who we are as a family. You can see what we explore. I want people to see the places that we are, or show them somewhere that they might not know exists, and all the things that you can do there. And, when you think about filming and editing and how much time all that takes, it's as a new channel, the very first thing you have to know is you're doing it for yourself and you have to enjoy what you're doing. First and
Yeah.
foremost, it's a record of what we've done and who we are, no matter if we've got 0 views, 10 views, or 5,000 views or more, right? So, it's like our diary and it's our travel. And if we can inspire somebody to get out and do something or go see a place that we did, like that's just amazing. And that's how we got started. We were watching YouTube and we saw families and there's people we follow and we're like, that's just awesome. We want to do that. We want to provide value to the community. So we're going to film as much as we can, again, part time. So we tend to have the cameras out a lot just because there's probably as much footage as I edit. There's probably double that never even gets touched, right? Because you never really know.
Right.
So,
Megan, since we've been together 25 years, Megan is the creative driving force behind a lot of what we do in that respect. She's
mhm,
got a great creative background in mind, and it matches really well with my very type A personality when it comes to planning and organizing. So you can see why we kind of we have that yin and yang together,
mhm.
where I'm very one way and she's very
Yeah.
another. and it comes together and it makes what I think is very watchable content.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I started out going to college for graphic design and then ended up changing going into business, which I'm in marketing, which is also very creative. And outside of my professional life, I felt like for a really long time I was struggling to figure out what is my creative outlet. I'm going to be creative on my
Mm,
terms. You know, I'm creative at work, but that's, you know, that's on what somebody else and how they want me to be creative, not necessarily how I want to be
yeah.
creative. And we really started talking about, you know, let's do this, let's give it a go and like make some videos and do some editing. It was very overwhelming at first because nobody to teach me. I'm self-taught and I'm still learning. It's a very lengthy process, but you know, I bench myself around content that I've seen, and I'm like, you know what, I want to put my best out there and I want to learn and be creative. So it's really been therapeutic for me. You know, it's hard to balance working full time and traveling and doing all the things, but I really do enjoy it. So I just hope that comes through when
Yeah.
people watch our videos, that they can see, you know, we're authentic and that we care about putting out their good quality content that hopefully people want to watch.
Yeah, I think that it does. There's a video, I think it's when it's one of your newer ones and you guys are in Ohio at like a stop. And first of all, I was
Mhm.
like, "Oh, I need to start carrying $20 bills with me." Because
It's like, gosh, we got me a
I don't
cat.
think we ever have cash. I was like,
He does.
I need to start carrying cash with me." But there was a moment, you've got the camera out and you're walking with one of your daughters and she's walking the dog and she just looks at you like, "Mom, the camera again." And I just like 100%, my heart just went, I know that look. I felt that in my soul. And then watching you guys try and make the climb over the rocks and then being able to cheer for you guys when you got to the end. I was like, this is a family that I can, get on board and cheer for. So I think that you're doing a great job. It definitely comes through.
Thank you.
And I think that the authenticity is there, and it is so valuable to have because you're right. There's 1,000 videos out there that tell you how to clean or cook or store
Mhm.
your
I know.
Blackstone, but it's the videos where you're doing it with heart that matters.
That matters. It just
So,
takes a little bit longer for those to
yeah,
get found and seen and appreciated.
the
And
traction. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, what is a lesson that the road has taught you the hard way that you
Mhm.
wish someone had told you on day 1?
Tend to get frustrated when things don't go the way I've planned because again, and I keep referencing it, there's that planning mentality of me. So when something doesn't, you're
Right?
driving home and all of a sudden your TPMS sensor starts going off because your tire is losing air. It throws
Isn't
me
that the
into a whole
worst?
nother world. It is horrible.
Yes.
And we
I
were
hate it.
literally, we were 50 miles from home and I'm like, I just want to get home, but I have to stop to fill a tire full of air now
Mhm.
because it's going flat.
Yeah. And then a more recent one was this year even. We were driving home from Michigan and something wasn't feeling right about the RV. It was downshifting hard and something was going on and we
Mm,
weren't sure. So then you start Googling, and it's like Googling a medical diagnosis. You shouldn't do that because it was like, stop the RV, don't
right?
drive it anymore. And we're like, we don't film well in those situations yet. So there's no content of this. But to make a long story short, he ended up stopping at Freightliner in Green Bay. I drove the kids home because it was a Sunday night. We got home at like midnight that night because it took us about 4 or 5 hours to get a plan together, what to do, how to solve our problem. All ended up well, but it really threw a wrench in the plans. And
I ended up spending the night at the Freightliner dealer. They looked at the rig the next day, determined that absolutely zero was wrong with it.
which is good.
I spent a few $100s getting it diagnosed, and then I drove it home. All while I had to work that day. So I'm in the
Oh
trucker's lounge
gosh.
working on my laptop. So I had to take a step back and I had to say,
Yeah.
okay, I need to get my RV well because a broken RV does not bode well for your pocketbook or your mental psyche.
Or the trip we were supposed
Right?
to go all the way up to Minnesota. We're like, well, we need to make sure it's okay.
So I had to
Yeah,
stop. I had
absolutely.
to assess and I just said, okay, let's unhook the tow. You're going to drive everybody home. I will stay with the RV and handle that. Because if
Mhm.
we were at home, that's what would happen. I would handle the RV problems and she would make sure the kids and the dogs are okay. So I just did it that
Right.
same way. And so it has taught me slowly, because I'm not good at this, to kind of step back and say, okay, let's reassess and move on.
Mhm.
Cause I get a little unhappy.
And I would say in the moment it's still difficult because I do believe the words out of your mouth at one point in time was like, "This is it. This might do me in. We might never RV again." And I'm like, "Calm down. Calm down. It's okay. Everything is fixable. It is
Oh,
okay. We are healthy. The kids are healthy. We are safe. We're parked in a safe spot. We will figure this out. It's all right." But yeah, like just
oh my
know
gosh.
that stuff's gonna happen and it's not the end of the world. It's
Yeah.
not gonna end your stuff. RVing is not cheap, right? Gonna cost
Right.
money. It's gonna cost money to have fun and it's
Yep.
gonna have cost money to fix your fun. So,
Yes. That's such a good way to put it. Costs money to fix your fun.
but I think like the cost value of what we're getting out of it still supersedes.
I wouldn't change this
Yeah.
for anything. I've
Yes.
loved every minute of the
Mm-mm.
last 6.5 years doing this. It's been great. It's been
Yeah.
so rewarding to be able to spend so much time with my friends and family, because that's what I
Yeah.
wanted out of this. I'm getting exactly out of RVing what I wanted to get out of RVing.
Yeah. And one other thing I want to say, because you just made me think of this, like what we didn't expect. We've got one friend that we camp with that had been camping before we were camping. We bought the RV. His dad bought an RV. So we camped with him for a little bit. My parents bought an RV. We occasionally camp with them. But other than that, we like had no real close friends that were into it like we are. He had one other friend that
Mhm.
bought a camper and would go out on occasion, but none of those people, even the ones that bought it after we were not into it like we were. And I think one expected thing that
Yeah.
came out of all of this is the community of people that you meet along the way. We now have at least 10 very, very close RV friends that we meet up with multiple times a year because of
That's awesome.
RVing that we would have never have met. And
They've been the most rewarding part of
yeah.
this. Meeting these
Yeah.
people, we went to a rally and we met this awesome group of folks, and now we're on messenger groups together on Facebook,
Talking.
and we're constantly talking and
Yeah.
sending messages, just
Yeah, we
goofiness
went
that.
on 3 trips last year with them.
Yep,
The whole crew went to Disney. We had, like, 5 or 6 campsites at Disney. I
yep,
think next year we're already up to
10 or
10 or
12.
12 for next
That's
year's
so
Disney with all
cool.
these people. We do the Bourbon Trail. This will be our 3rd year coming up Labor Day weekend that
To
we've
do the
done it
Bourbon
with this
Trail.
same, like,
Oh,
group of people, and it just keeps expanding and growing as they kinda hear about our little group. It's like this little,
And we can thank another YouTuber for
Mhm.
this group of friends, because
Yeah.
they're the ones that brought us all together.
Yeah, so we were all part of this
yeah.
same little insider group, and we all realized we lived for the RV world, we lived relatively close together. A lot of them are in Cincinnati, which is, hop, skip, and a jump
Mhm.
from Chicago. So, it's just been
Right.
a really great group of people.
Yeah, Matt and I have a similar experience like that. Like you guys, we did some YouTube research before we got started, and there was a
Mhm,
YouTuber that was doing a rally, and we went to the rally. That was our first out the gate RV experience. Like we had, it was our very first let's get in the RV and go experience. And we made some amazing friends, and we're still friends with them, and we meet up with them every now and then and go on trips with them. And it's amazing the people that you meet in this community and how you meet them, and it's just life changing. And
it is.
you don't get that. It's an experience you wouldn't get if you were sitting at home, and that's just the beautiful side of it. Well, for a family who is sitting at home right now thinking like we could never do this, what would you say to them?
Say, "Go to an RV show," which is probably what he said. If I didn't say it, he was gonna say it. And if you only have access to go to, like, a little regional show that's near you, just go and sit in them and go see what you like. Like, I think part of it is just figuring out how do you wanna travel? What do you wanna travel in? What do you
Mhm.
have that would travel with you? What do you need to get to be able to travel? And I don't think you really figure out what type of RV you want, whether it be a towable or a drivable, unless you sit in them and really, and I don't mean just kinda
Yeah.
like walk in and walk out. I mean, like, sit in it and see where you could do things, and if you can only get to a little regional show, then do that, but if you can get yourself to Tampa or Hershey or one of the big ones where, like, everything is, I think that's very valuable. And I think that's a very good place to start
Yeah.
because you can try to understand what your budget is. And I really think in the RV space, there really is a budget for everybody. I think you can get in pretty affordable and you can get in very luxury as well. So I think there's a spot for everybody. But I think you
Yeah,
just gotta
there
really
definitely is.
gotta feel it.
I
Yeah.
100% agree with what Megan said. I've had friends come up to me and say, how do I start with this? What should I do? I'm interested in this." And the first thing I tell them is, "What are you doing in January? Can you make it to the Tampa show? Because that is like
Yeah.
the epicenter of everything. You can see, look, touch, feel, smell
Mhm.
every single kind of RV
Oh,
and every
yeah.
vendor that is out there. So if you just take 3 days of your life and go to Tampa, you will have a much better understanding of what the RV lifestyle is."
And then the other thing that I would
Yeah.
add to it at the same time that you also did for at least a year or 2 before we bought an RV is just to find some authentic YouTube channels. Like don't watch the clicky bait ones where you click on it because of the title and you're like, I don't even think that ever happened in the video. Follow them and watch their videos. And the really, really good ones, you will feel that inspiration. And if you feel that inspiration, then you'll know this is sort of the right path for you.
And I'll add,
Yeah.
if you do follow some YouTubers and you do go to the Tampa RV show, most of them show up there.
A lot of them do,
And
yeah.
you can actually
They
meet the
do.
people you watch, and you can see that
Mhm.
they're exactly who they are on YouTube. And we've been
Mhm.
fortunate enough
Yep.
to make several friends of some very big YouTubers who are just like everyday people. You think they're this star, right? But I can walk up to them and say, "Hey, how you doing? What's going on?" And they remember me. So it's
Yeah.
rewarding that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I want to ask you guys one more question about your RV trips before I have you guys plug yourselves like crazy because I want everybody to go watch and see your content. How do your girls like it? I mean, you guys have been doing this now for 6 years. How have their experiences kind of developed and changed over the years? Are they loving it as much as they did when it started or more? Or how are your teens doing?
I think more. There's never
Yeah?
any, I don't wanna go. There's never any, that's not where I wanna go. We try to incorporate them into the planning process when he's sitting here over the winter trying to map out where we wanna go. We, kinda talk as a family, like, "Where do you wanna go?" The other thing we try not to do because we are part-time is we try not to do too many repeat visits. Like, we wanna see new places. So, very rarely will we
Yeah.
go to the same place. There's a week we go in Wisconsin up to Green Lake every year and on the holiday week, but outside of that, we try to hit new places. So I think it's a balance of like we enjoy the outdoors and hiking, but we also want to see national parks and national monuments. And I think when they can put together seeing history in person and tie it back to what they've learned or what they will learn in school, I just think that's valuable. And like,
Yeah.
And from my perspective, right, they've grown up RVing with us now, right? They started out with all this crazy
Yeah.
dance stuff, go, 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 go. And now we've slowed down a touch. Now, getting into high school, things tend to pick up a little bit, as any high school family knows.
mhm,
I balance our trips with stuff that Megan and I like and stuff that the kids like. So, for instance, our bigger trip, we have two big trips every year. The first one had to do with stuff that Megan and I like mostly, which is hiking, national parks, scenery, cooler weather.
now our
Yeah.
younger one will be like, another hike.
Yeah.
Have we not hiked enough? She will say that.
But the second big trip of our year, we're hitting up Cedar Point, America's roller coaster capital. We're going
I
to
love
the
that
Rock and Roll
part.
Hall of Fame. We're hitting up all this bigger stuff so that we could do some exciting and fun
Mhm,
things. So it's
Yeah.
with kids, it's all about balance.
mhm.
How far
Yeah.
can you, and I don't want to say how far can you push them, but how far can you influence them to like what you like because they do like it. They just don't want to tell
Yeah.
you they like it.
Mhm.
Right?
And, like, we have
Yeah.
slower trips where we're in a state park campground, and there's not much in the campground, and, it's, like, veg out time for them, like, he'll be working or, and it'll just be like, "Oh, cool, I can read, and I can sit and put my feet up." But then there are times where we'll book a resort where there's a lot of things the kids can do and pools and things like that and, jumpy things, and
It's a balance.
it's
It
a balance, right? Because you don't
Yeah.
wanna vacation, we go to very expensive campgrounds every time. Like, you got to stay in some state parks.
Right?
Got to balance the budget, but
Yes,
And I also, since we
absolutely.
have an RV big enough to do it, I ask them if they want to bring friends. So
Mhm.
we have enough to, we bring cousins with us, we
Mhm.
bring friends with us. And I say, okay, what do you guys want to do? Do you, I open the door and I say, go play in the campground, go do something and get away from us for a little while. Because as much as you want to be with your kids all the time, they need their alone time and they have to figure out
Mhm.
the world as well. So let them go and
Yes.
do things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I have just thoroughly enjoyed every minute of our conversation. Where should people follow along?
Oh, we've got Facebook. So Facebook
Mhm.
tends to be like where Pete will occasionally still write out his original captain's logs. That's how it all started, was Facebook, and he would sort of blog out on Facebook what we've been doing.
I have to add our captain's logs. If you are a Star Trek fan, you understand where I've gotten that from. Okay. I like Star Trek, but I people ask me all the time, is that a Star Trek reference? 100%. It all started out as me just kind of being silly and goofy. And we got to a point where I stopped writing them. And multiple people asked us, where's the captain's
Where are
logs?
the logs?
Yeah, where are the logs? We're like, oh, okay, maybe we should like make it a thing. Okay.
You
Yeah.
know,
So
Yeah.
Instagram, that's where we like do the reels and the photos. And I try to be more inspiration based on Instagram. And then we're on YouTube as well. And that's, I'd still say pretty newish. We're only have been pretty little over a year in terms of being serious about putting out really good content on YouTube. So we would love a subscribe for anybody who's watching this. We'd love you to watch some of
Yes.
our videos and give us some feedback. We're open to feedback, leave some comments, give us some likes, tell us what types of topics and content you want to see. And I mean, we're just going to keep filming and going at it. So we've got a website, and on that website, you've got I've got a blog section on the website you were referencing earlier in our talk about the
Hmm.
Disney tips that's on our blog on our website, which is
Yep.
ourcaptainslogs.com. Yeah, so we're in a lot of places.
we're very open, we're very honest. We just are who we are, and the captain and his co-pilot, we just get along really
Yeah.
well, and we do a lot of great things together, and we just want to
Yeah.
share it with people.
Yep.
So
Any of the crew that wants to
Yeah.
follow us along, we're here.
That's awesome. Well, we will tag all of your guys' sites in the show notes and make sure that everybody has a way to get to those. What is coming up for your guys' crew next? Can you tell us? I mean, I know that
since
what
we're a
goes
little
up
behind
is
in
like
some
a
of the
year
videos, yeah.
behind.
Yeah. So I
So
still
what do
need
we
to
get to see next online? I guess is what I want to ask.
it's so hard
Ooh,
because
a teaser. I can't wait. What's coming, dear?
I think what's coming next is I don't want, as much as I want to jump ahead to the amazing trip that we just did and say, forget about the rest of it.
Hmm.
I talked about the amazing community, and I really want to share last year getting together with that big RV group that we talked about. We went to the Bourbon Trail and we all stayed in a whole huge campground rows together. And I'd really like to highlight what that looks like in a video. So that is more
Yeah.
likely going to be what's going to be on next on
And
YouTube.
and for travel, you're looking at things like what we did for Halloween last year, which it tends to be what we do every year, but
Mhm.
we'll leave it at that. And then hitting up northern Minnesota this year, this
Mhm.
spring, and coming
Hmm.
up, hitting up Ohio and West Virginia. So
Mm.
that's kind of where we're headed in the future.
I love it. Well, Megan, Pete, thank you guys so much for being with us. If anybody out there has not subscribed yet, go to our Captain's Logs on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and at ourcaptainslog.com. All the places that Megan was saying, get in there, start following along. The content is so rich. It's so fun. It's so authentic. You will love it. And if this episode hit home with you at all, please like, subscribe, but send it over to a friend who maybe is thinking about part time RVing or is wondering, how do I make this lifestyle work for me and my family? So that they can learn about Megan and Pete and they can maybe get some ideas from them about how to get their family on the road a little bit sooner than having to wait for retirement, because that's just not the way that we want to do this. Let's get out there and live life a little bit more fully, a little bit sooner. Thank you guys so much. We will catch you all around the campfire next time.